Why is it that some people, they just seem to hit massive financial success almost instantly?
Right.
You see them selling a company for millions in their 30s. Meanwhile, so many others are following all the textbook rules clipping coupons, investing diligently, and they're still facing decades of this slow, grinding accumulation.
It feels like two different worlds.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder. We've all been handed a map to financial freedom, the one that tells us to wait until we're 65. But what if that map isn't just inefficient? What if it's maybe deliberately misleading?
That is the big question, isn't it? And that's really the core of what we're digging into today. This is a deep dive into some pretty unusual sources that reveal the unseen mechanics behind not just rapid wealth, but also how you capture an audience in this digital age.
Okay, so what are we looking at?
We are drilling down into the cold, hard math of it. Things like capital concentration, what economists call the whole R versus G thing. And from there, we're going to unpack the three distinct financial roadmaps that people follow, whether they know it or not. Plus, the psychological hacks you absolutely need to get millions of eyes on whatever it is you're doing.
So our mission here isn't just to summarize these ideas. We're trying to uncover the specific, often hidden choices and systems.
Yeah, unspoken rules.
Exactly. The true unspoken rules that separate the people achieving freedom now, sometimes in just a few years, from those who are settling for 40 years of mediocrity. We're looking for the actual levers of control.
And we really have to emphasize this point. We are not talking about luck here.
No.
Or, getting a giant inheritance. This is all about controllable math, about focusing on the process over some big event, and really mastering the art of choice.
It sounds like if you feel stuck on your financial journey, it's probably because you've been following the wrong map.
You've been given an equation with a built-in speed limit. We're here to expose the math that actually governs your financial destiny.
All right, let's do it. Let's stop accepting the standard story and jump right into these roadmaps. Let's unpack this. So the biggest lie, according to our sources, is the idea that there's only one path.
Mm-hmm.
The one we all know, 40 years of service, compound interest, hope for the best.
It's the standard narrative. It's what's taught in schools, pushed by big institutions, passed down from our parents. But mathematically and practically, it is just not the only way.
And our sources lay out three of them, three primary roadmaps. And the biggest difference between them is the mindset, which then leads to a completely different, a different mathematical equation for how you build wealth.
And that framing is so important because the financial universe you live in is basically defined by the roadmap you pick.
And most people don't even realize they've picked one.
Exactly. They just sort of default onto a path that has a mathematical ceiling on it. It guarantees a slow pace, even if they do everything perfectly.
So where do we start? Which one's first?
Let's start with the most common and maybe the most destructive one. It's called the Sidewalk roadmap, or as the sources call it, the path of poorness.
The sidewalk, the name itself just sounds aimless, like you're just wandering around.
That's a perfect way to put it. The mindset here is a complete and total absence of a financial plan. The plan is just to spend.
That's not a plan, that's an impulse.
Right. The sidewalker sees time as this infinite resource. They've got all the time in the world. But money is scarce.
So their whole philosophy is instant gratification.
It's that dangerous idea of, if I've got it, I have to flaunt it. Now, they're always chasing the highest paycheck they can get right this second, but there's zero thought, absolutely no structure for keeping any of it.
So how does that look when you write it down as an equation? What's the math behind that?
The equation it's tragically simple.
Oh.
It's just wealth equals income plus debt.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the debt part is only limited by whatever credit is available to them. They build a lifestyle based on their gross income, and then they pour gasoline on the fire by using debt to buy things that go down in value.
Depreciating liabilities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the destination is, pretty predictable. It's either some huge crisis where the debt just swamps them, or in the worst cases, bankruptcy. It's not a good outcome.
It's the ultimate illusion of success, though, right? It's all about looking good on the outside, getting that immediate validation.
That's it. This is the definition of what our sources call lifestyle servitude. The possessions, like that brand new sports car they can't afford, or the giant mortgage that's killing them, those things don't serve the person.
They own the person.
They own the person. Instant gratification is the bait, but lifestyle servitude is the hook. They look successful, but they are complete hostages to the payments and the stress needed to keep up that image. They have no real freedom.
And what's crazy is that this isn't some tiny fringe group of people. The data on this is pretty sobering.
It really speaks to how deep our consumer culture runs. There was a U.S. Census Bureau study cited looking at the year 2000, and it found that an incredible 57% of people under the age of 55 had zero, or even worse, negative net worth.
Wow, over half.
Over half. And if that's not enough, get this. An estimated 62% of all households back then had less than $100,000 in total net worth. So the sidewalk isn't some rare path. It is devastatingly common. It's just chaotic spending and living like one emergency away from total financial ruin.
Okay, so if the sidewalk is chaos, the next path, the slow lane, is all about conformity. But it still leads to, well, mediocrity. This is the one we were all given.
This is the gold standard roadmap. It's that traditional mantra. Go to school, get good grades, find a stable job, live way below your means.
Clip coupon.
Right? Invest in your 401k, and then if everything goes perfectly, you can retire around age 65. The whole mindset is that debt is bad, time is abundant, and the only real way to build wealth is compound interest over like a million years.
The slow laner is a big believer in delayed gratification. But the sources make a really sharp point that for a lot of people, this decades-long delay just turns into no gratification.
Because the math is just too slow, and the journey is just too risky. The whole strategy is severely limited, and we should probably spend a minute on why.
Yeah, let's get into that equation.
Okay, so the equation that runs the slow lane is wealth equals your intrinsic value, so what you earn yearly, plus compound interest.
And when you break that down further,
it becomes wealth equals your time multiplied by your hourly or salaried value plus your invested sometimes, the whole compounding formula.
And the problem isn't with the slow laner's discipline. The flaw is baked right into the first part of that formula.
It's a double whammy, really. And it's rooted in things you just can't control. First, there's your intrinsic value. You're limited by how many hours are in a day, and your salary has a ceiling. You can't just wake up tomorrow and decide to 1,000% your hourly wage.
Right.
It's not possible.
And the second part?
The second part is time. The engine for your growth, your investments, is totally dependent on that little exponent in the formula, to the power of time. It needs decades, 40 years, really, for the compounding to actually start doing the heavy lifting.
So when you run the numbers for a typical slow laner, even a really disciplined one, the math it guarantees a comfortable life maybe, but not a free one. It guarantees mediocrity.
That is the hard truth. Let's take an ideal case, a super diligent slow laner. They save 5% of their gross salary every single year, and they get a great 8% annual return, which is, pretty optimistic.
Right.
If this person makes $100,000 a year, saves $5,000 every year, where do they end up after 40 years of this?
What's the number?
They end up with only around $1.45 million.
Now, $1.45 million, it sounds like a lot of money when you just say it.
The vacuum, sure.
But that took 40 years. 40 years of sacrifice, of discipline, of constantly saying no to today for maybe tomorrow.
And that's the killer. That number doesn't even factor in inflation, which will eat away at its buying power. And it doesn't account for taxes when you start taking it out. It might let you have a comfortable retirement, sure, but it is not going to support a truly rich lifestyle where you control your time and location. Yeah. And it definitely didn't give you freedom in your 30s.
The math locks you in.
For 4 decades.
And this ties into that bigger economic picture. The whole R is greater than G thing that Thomas Piketty wrote about. That's like the institutional cage of the slow lane.
This is exactly where the strategy hits a wall. The slow laner is betting everything on that 40-year timeline, hoping their job is stable and the market behaves. But true wealth, the kind that accelerates, happens when the rate of return on capital, that's R, is way bigger than the overall rate of economic growth, which is G.
So RG, that simple inequality is what separates the owners from the workers.
Absolutely. The slow laner's wealth comes from their labor, which is tied to G, economic growth, salary bumps. The rich, on the other hand, they benefit from RG because their wealth is in capital. It's in assets and businesses. That's the R. And that capital naturally grows faster than the overall economy. By relying on a salary, you're betting your whole life on a variable you can't control.
You're vulnerable to everything.
Everything. Downturns, health problems, your job getting automated.
So it's not just that the slow lane is slow, it's that it's a long and really treacherous road.
The sources are crystal clear on this. It's dangerous because you're relying on outside forces to be stable for 4 decades.
Yeah.
Your health, your job, the economy, it all has to be perfect.
Which is insane.
It is. And that constant delayed gratification often means you sacrifice today for a tomorrow that might never come. And then there's the biggest danger of all, reversion.
What do you mean by that?
You get so tired of waiting that you finally snap. You buy that unaffordable car, or you get hit with a huge medical bill, and boom, decades of saving can be wiped out in an instant, and you're pushed right back onto the sidewalk.
Okay, so we have the sidewalk, which leads to chaos, and the slow lane, which leads to this delayed, vulnerable mediocrity. That brings us to the third path, the one for accelerated wealth.
The fast lane.
The fast lane.
This is the alternative for anyone who just flat out rejects the idea of working until they're old. The goal here is financial freedom and massive wealth, and it's completely separate from your age. We're talking about becoming a multimillionaire in years, not decades.
So if you start at 18, you could be free by 25.
That's the mindset. If you start at 48, maybe it's freedom by 54. The time frame shifts, but the strategy is the same.
And this is where that mathematical cage of time just gets shattered. How does the fast lane do that? How do you break the equation?
You operate under a principle called controllable unlimited leverage, CUL. Unlike the slow lane equation, which is capped by time and your hourly wage, the fast lane equation is driven by 2 things, net profit and asset value.
So you're unlocking unlimited math.
You're trying to get massive scale in your profit or a massive explosion in your assets value, or both. That's what makes the wealth accumulation so rapid and exponential.
It sounds like the difference between, doing all the heavy lifting yourself versus building a machine to do it for you. It reminds me of that story about Chuma.
The Chuma story is the perfect in LA. Chuma was hired to move stones for the pyramids. He was trading his time for wages, a perfect slow laner, a diligent bricklayer. But then his friend shows up.
And he's not carrying rocks.
No, he's building a contraption, a system of levers and ramps, a pyramid machine that leverages his own work and makes him way more effective than poor Chuma just hauling rocks one by one.
So the slow laner is the bricklayer. The fast laner is the architect. The person who builds a system, that money tree, that spits out passive income and grows in value. The hard work, the struggle, it shifts from the daily grind to the one-time intense effort of creating that system.
Precisely. The whole struggle in the fast lane is focused on building that scalable system that separates your income from your time. And if you haven't achieved that kind of freedom yet, it's not because you haven't followed the rules, it's because you've been conditioned to follow the wrong set of rules governed by a limited time-based equation.
Okay, so understanding the 3 roadmaps is huge, but just knowing the right road isn't enough, is it?
Not at all. You have to master the vehicle, which is you, and the map, which is your process.
Right. Because we see these huge successes, these events, and we just assume it was luck.
Or timing, or some secret backroom deal. But our sources are so clear on this.
Oh.
Fast lane success is carved out by process. It is not chance.
The public always sees the finish line, not the race.
Exactly. They are magnetized to the event, to a glass of vitamin water. The event was the sale to Coca-Cola for $4.1 billion.
It's a massive headline. The overnight success.
But the process was the 11 years before that. 11 years of relentless struggle, of refining the system, of daily commitment and financial sacrifice that nobody saw. That's what the fast laner understands.
It's the mirage of the event versus the sweat of the process. We all want that dopamine hit from the headline, but we try to skip the part where you actually have to, earn it.
We constantly mistake the outcome for the effort. I mean, think about getting in shape.
Okay.
Signing up for a gym membership and posting a selfie about it. That's an event.
Right, it feels good for a second.
It's an administrative task. It gives you a shallow feeling of accomplishment. But working out 5 times a week, when you're exhausted, when it's raining, when no one is watching you, that's the process. That is what actually creates the change.
And what's so interesting is that the process is almost entirely internal. It's all about your daily decisions.
100%. The process is described as 99% thinking. It's about sustained commitment, constant refinement, and conscious decision-making. The fast laner has to learn to celebrate the small process decisions every single day, not just wait for the big, uncertain event of success.
And the engine that drives this whole process, the steering wheel of your life, is your choices.
Your choices define everything. You are exactly where the sum of your past choices has put you. Success is never one big choice. It's the compound effect of hundreds of small, good choices that form your process, which then forms your lifestyle and your destiny.
So if you feel like you're stuck, what's locking people into that stagnation? What's preventing them from making those better choices?
The sources point to one major barrier. It's not what they call the solution box, which is a lack of options.
Okay.
Because there are always options if you look.
So what is it?
The real prison is the identity box. It limits who you think you are and what you believe you're capable of. It's that fixed mindset that just sentences you to stagnation because you refuse to make choices that clash with who you've been told you are.
So choosing to stay in the slow lane is really just a symptom of believing you are a slow laner.
It's a self-imposed prison. If you believe your identity is salaried employee, you will subconsciously sabotage any choice that requires you to break free and become an architect. Now, speaking of choices, you have to be incredibly careful about what our sources call treasonous choices.
Treasonous choices? That sounds serious. What are they?
They are actions that cause irreparable harm to your life and your goals. They throw you onto these dangerous detours that are incredibly hard or even impossible to come back from.
Yeah.
These aren't just small mistakes, they're catastrophic.
So we're talking about things like taking on a massive, unaffordable mortgage on a $65,000 salary.
Exactly. Or other reckless behavior with permanent consequences.
Sure.
Those choices have devastating power and a long, long tail. So to avoid them, you have to use a specific mental tool. It's called the worst case consequence analysis, WCCA.
Okay, walk me through that. How do you actually use the WCCA?
Before you make a big decision, you have to stop and ask two very critical questions.
Yeah.
First, what is the absolute worst, most catastrophic thing that could possibly happen if I do this? You have to face the career head on.
And the second question?
What is the realistic probability of that worst case scenario actually happening? If the consequence is total ruin, financial or otherwise, even a tiny probability should make you slam on the brakes. The WCCA is all about preventing those life-altering bad choices.
That makes sense for avoiding disaster. But what about when you have two or three really good but complex options? How do you pick a clear winner then?
For that, the sources suggest using something called the Weighted Average Decision Matrix, or WADM.
Okay.
The WADM is designed to quantify those complex decisions. You basically isolate the factors that matter to you on your journey. Things like cost of living, proximity to family, the market, whatever.
So you're taking the emotion out of it and just using data?
Precisely. You list your factors. Let's say family proximity is a big one, so you give it a weight of 10. And maybe market saturation is less important, so you give it a 5. Then you score each option, say moving to Detroit versus moving to Phoenix, against those weighted factors. You multiply the score by the weight, add it all up, and the highest score is the mathematically best choice for you.
So you get a clear number, like Detroit gets an 88 and Phoenix gets a 93.
Exactly. It moves you from a gut feeling to a calculated, intentional process. Now let's talk about the fuel for this whole vehicle.
Time.
The sources are blunt about this.
Yeah.
If you value your time poorly, you will be poor. It's the ultimate equalizer. Everyone gets 24 hours.
And the Fastlaner's main goal with time is to convert one type into another.
Right. Transform indentured time into free time.
Let's define those. What's the difference?
Indentured time is any time you exchange for money. That's your job, your commute, getting ready for work, and even the time you spend recovering from work. Free time is your time. It's what you can spend however you choose. The slow laner's life is about maximizing indentured time. The fast laner is obsessed with maximizing free time.
And the biggest enemy of free time is?
Parasitic debt.
It's
always caused by instant gratification, and it literally eats your free time and converts it into more indentured time. Every big purchase on debt has two costs. The money, obviously, but also the huge cost in free time you have to work to pay it off.
So before you buy something, you have to ask yourself,
Will this thing steal my freedom? Will I own this, or will it own me? You have to see the hook of lifestyle servitude hiding under the bait of instant gratification.
this all leads to the biggest excuse in the book, which is, I don't have time.
Yeah.
Especially since the fast lane requires so much learning and building. How do you get around that?
You have to hack time. You find leverage in the blocks of time that are already there. Our sources point out two brilliant methods. First, toilet university.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's simple. Never sit down for necessary biological functions without something educational in your hands. A book, an article, a video. That time is unavoidable, so the return on your educational investment is basically infinite. You turn dead time into uptime.
That's brilliant. What's the second one?
Jobbing university. If you're stuck in a dead-end job, you have to exploit the downtime, the waiting, the slow periods. Read, research, and plan your system during those moments. You are literally getting paid to learn and build your escape plan. It's Fastlane education without the debt of formal schooling. So we've covered the mindset, the choices, the value of time, but none of that matters if you don't plug into the core mathematics of accelerated wealth.
This is where we get into the laws of physics for this stuff.
Exactly. People talk about the law of attraction, which is a theory, but the law of affection is absolute. It's math.
Okay, what is the law of affection?
To make millions of dollars, you must serve millions of people in scale, or you must serve a few people in magnitude. That's it.
The second you really get that, your whole perspective shifts. You stop looking for ways to make a quick buck and you start looking for ways to affect huge numbers of people.
Or solve a huge, high-value problem for a very small number of people. It works because there are two ways to access it: direct or indirect.
What's direct affection?
Direct is when you are the source. You're the founder of the software, the author of the book, the creator of the platform. You personally impact millions.
And indirect affection.
That's when you serve the source. You're the agent for the superstar athlete. You're the real estate broker who only sells mansions to the ultra wealthy. You're the CPA who specializes in the affluent. You connect your service to people or systems that are already operating at massive scale or magnitude.
You're tapping into their leverage.
You got it. Now, for a business to actually have the speed and leverage to achieve this kind of affection, it has to pass a test. There are 5 non-negotiable commandments.
A filter.
A critical filter. If you violate even one of these, you risk just creating a high-paying job for yourself, not a wealth machine. You'll revert right back to the Slowlane's math.
Okay, let's go through them. What are the first 2?
First is the commandment of need. You have to focus on solving needs, not chasing money. Money is a byproduct of solving a real problem exceptionally well.
Your system has to make people feel better, solve a pain point, save them time.
Something real. The big mental shift here is to surrender your own selfishness, what you want, and focus only on the customer selfishness. They're always asking, what's in it for me?
Right. You can do what you love for free, but to make it a business, that passion has to solve a real market need.
Which brings us to number 2, the commandment of entry. The barriers to entry have to be high. If there are no barriers, you get insane competition, a saturated market, a traffic jam where nobody moves.
So if, as the source says, any Joe Blow napping behind a restaurant can start the same business in a day with $50, you failed the test.
Instantly. The market will be flooded and your product becomes a commodity. This is why things like most MLMs fail the entry test for the people who join them.
But not for the founder.
Never for the founder. The Fastlaner is the pyramid builder. They create the system with high barriers. The person who joins is just a cog in that system, competing with thousands of others.
Okay, number 3 is about ownership, the commandment of control.
This is foundational. You have to own the system, the brand, the whole money tree. You are either driving the vehicle or you are a hitchhiker in someone else's car.
And hitchhikers.
Hitchhikers, affiliate marketers, network marketers, anyone who relies on a single platform they don't own, they give up all control to the driver. If the driver changes the rules, changes the algorithm, or just shuts down,
your entire income disappears overnight.
Gone. The Fastlaner builds their own brand, their own platform. They keep control.
Next up, the commandment of scale. This is where the big math really kicks in.
This is all about your potential ceiling. Your business has to have a worldwide habitat. It needs to be capable of scaling its net income and its asset value into the millions. A little local coffee shop that only serves a 2-block radius has a tiny habitat.
It's capped.
Severely capped. But an internet software company, its habitat is the entire world. It has explosive leverage. You have to swing for home runs, not singles.
If your profit per sale is $2 and you can only sell to your neighborhood, you're never going to get that acceleration.
Never. You need a business that can go from $2,000 a month to $2 million a month without an equal increase in your personal effort.
Which leads right to the final and maybe most important one, the commandment of time.
This is the one that actually delivers freedom. The system has to be able to run passively. It has to completely separate your income from your time. That's the money tree in full bloom.
There's a test for this, isn't there? The $1 K-scale test.
It's a brutal but necessary test. If achieving a consistent $1,000 profit day requires you to personally work 18 hours, you have a massive scale and time problem. You don't have a business, you have a job with extra steps.
Scaling isn't about hustling harder. It's about building a predictable system that runs without you chained to it.
Exactly. And those systems, those money trees, they fall into 5 main categories.
What are they?
They're all basically surrogates for your time. You have computer systems like software and apps, content systems like books and courses, distribution systems like franchising, rental systems like real estate or patents, and human resource systems, which is having employees run the system for you.
So the goal is to pick one of those and build it, but the sources warn you not to try building all of them at once.
Oh, that's a huge trap. Fastlane success demands monogamy. You have to dedicate everything, all your resources, all your time to one core business until it's self-sustaining and spitting out passive cash flow. Only then, when you have the capital and the proven systems, can you pursue polygamy diversification. You have to grow one tree fully before you plant another seed.
Okay, so the foundation is the law of affection. Serve millions. But you can't serve millions if they don't know you exist.
That's the problem.
You have to get millions of eyes on your stuff, and that means mastering the psychology of attention in a world that is just incredibly noisy.
It's not just noisy, it's completely saturated. Capturing attention today isn't about tricks. Our sources say it's about making powerful, irresistible promises.
A promise of a specific high-value outcome that your audience desperately wants.
Yes, but the promise is useless if the delivery is bad. The first 15 seconds of any piece of content are everything. That means quick edits, engaging visuals, and this is non-negotiable perfect audio. A brilliant hook with terrible audio will still fail every time.
So, assuming your production is solid, what are the actual psychological strategies you use to make that promise impossible to ignore?
We found 2 core hooks. The first one is the question hijack.
Okay.
This is where you ask a question that the viewer's brain simply cannot ignore. It forces what's called instinctive elaboration. Your brain can only focus on one complex thing at a time, so a challenging question basically hijacks their focus.
You're taking over their train of thought.
You are. You start with something like, what if I told you, or what would you do if, and then you hit them with something that completely challenges a core belief they have about something they care about.
Like, what if I told you paying off your mortgage early is actually making you poorer?
Perfect example. A generic question gets ignored. A personal, challenging question hijacks their brain.
That's powerful. What's the second strategy?
The second one is the secret reveal. This taps into our deep-seated curiosity. We all want to be insiders. We want to have an edge.
The information gap theory.
Exactly. Curiosity happens when we see a gap between what we know and what we feel we need to know. You promise to give them valuable insider knowledge that they can't get anywhere else.
This is the hook that sounds like, I'm about to show you the method I use to get 1 million subscribers, which I learned from a secret $20,000 course that nobody talks about.
That's the one. You're offering to bridge that information gap with something you learned through expensive courses or exclusive access or just years of painful trial and error. But the key is authenticity. You can't call common knowledge a secret. You have to actually deliver.
So you've hooked them, but you have to sustain that attention and turn it into trust. That's where things like social proof come in.
Social proof is a total game changer. It crushes skepticism instantly. When a viewer doesn't know you, showing them that thousands of other people already trust you is a powerful shortcut to credibility.
It's like walking past a row of restaurants. You're not going to the empty one. You're going to the one with the line out the door.
And it triggers FOMO, the fear of missing out. It shows them that others are already benefiting and they risk being left behind. That's why you see things like join 500,000 plus professionals or rated 4.9 stars across 2,000 reviews.
And this all feeds into the bigger goal, which is not just to have a business, but to build a brand.
Because businesses just survive. Brands thrive. A brand has to rise above the noise with a unique selling proposition, a USP. And to be heard, you have to be unconventional. You have to create an emotional response.
You can't be boring and stay in the middle. You'll just be ignored.
You have to be bold. The sources say you have to polarize, arouse emotions, and be a little risky and unconventional. Surprising. If you can make your audience feel something, make them laugh, or or get angry at the status quo, they will not only pay attention, they'll become loyal.
And the sources also point out that price itself is a psychological tool. It's not just a number.
Price signals value. The higher the price, the higher the perceived value. It's a great story about this guy was trying to give away an old dresser. He put a free e-sign on it. It sat on the curb for days.
Nobody wanted it.
Nobody. So he gets frustrated, changes the sign to $50. It was stolen within an hour.
Wow.
The price, even a small one, completely changed the perceived value from trash to something worth taking. Unless your entire brand is being the cheapest, your price has to reflect the value you provide.
And when you're crafting that message, you have to get out of your own head and focus entirely on the customer's selfishness. Well, what's in it for me?
You have to aggressively translate features into benefits. Don't just say, our software lets you upload photos. That's a feature. Who cares?
Right.
Translate it. Quit wasting hours driving to client meetings. Instantly upload photos of your fleet and close the deal from your office. You fill in the blanks for them. You show them exactly how you solve their problem. That's all they care about.
So we've really taken apart the traditional roadmap to wealth. We've exposed the math of the Slowlane and shown that this accelerated success, it isn't about luck. It's about controlling the variables.
It's about shifting from that limited, time-based equation to the Fastlane's leverage systems. And it's about making hundreds of those small, positive choices that build up into an unstoppable process.
The ultimate truth from all of this seems to be that wealth comes from building a machine, a process, a system, and then connecting that machine to the law of affection.
And the opportunities to build these machines are literally everywhere. They're disguised as customer complaints or daily inconveniences or just gaps in the market. And maybe the most powerful idea is that quitting only happens when you give up on the dream. Failing at one business isn't quitting.
It's just market feedback.
It's a lesson. It's a new road opening up, showing you exactly what not to do next time.
Okay, let's wrap this up with our final provocative thought. A rule that's buried pretty deep in history, and it connects right back to that identity box we talked about.
This one is fascinating.
Our sources found this really interesting kind of jark link between social order and education. Historically, after periods of major civil conflict, like the Chilean Civil War in 1859, the elites would get nervous.
Right, they were worried about the masses getting out of control.
Exactly. So they would aggressively expand state-controlled public schooling.
And the stated goal of this, what they wrote down, was to indoctrinate the masses into respecting authority and accepting the status quo. It was about creating social order and preventing future uprisings.
So here's the question. If formal education has, at times, been designed to prepare you for obedience, for compliance, for accepting a fixed income in the slow lane, how much of your current identity box, your idea of who you are and what you're capable of, is really just a result of that long-term conditioning? Conditioning that was designed for order, not for your freedom.
The real unspoken rule, then, is that the path to real wealth requires you to constantly educate yourself on how to build the machine, not just how to serve it.
The choice is yours. Are you committed to changing your own oil, your mindset, your education for the road ahead? Or are you going to stay stuck in a system that may have been designed from the very beginning for your obedience?
The clock is ticking, and the road is waiting.
The unspoken rule of this entire deep dive is simple. You can't leave a mark on the world unless you show the world where you've been, and more importantly, where you're going.
So if this deep dive has shattered your old financial map and opened your mind to new roadmaps, let us know your biggest takeaway in the comments section below. We read every single one.
And if you found this analysis to be essential knowledge, stamp this deep dive as vital by smashing that like button.
And remember, the ultimate unspoken rule of the system. If you don't ring the bell, the algorithm just assumes you disappeared.
So make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. You don't want to miss the next truth bomb.